Spanish flu, Hong Kong flu. I assure that at least you have heard 3 or 4 of them. Why? Because they mark times. But what do they have in common? Only one word. Pay attention. Crisis. Economically, these have effect in many ways. And I'm going to tell you 2 examples. The first example is in the place of Justine, the first great epidemic of which there is record, and in which many historians see this weakening of the Byzantine Empire, one of the dividing lines between the decline of antiquity and the flourishing of Middle Age. The second dates back to the Middle Age. During the Black Death, the sudden shortage of cheap labor provided a great incentive for, pay attention, innovation. That helped bring the end of the Middle Age. This crisis caused innovation. My name is Alejandro Herrera Santoyo, and I'm going to explain, and I know that explaining or hearing things of pandemic can be repetitive, but you know the consequences of the pandemic, or are you only living them? The coronavirus pandemic has brought the global economy to its knees, but lockdown measures that restrict our movements, and they have made the world change its perspective. New services have emerged, and others have taken hold to the point of saturating them, whether from small changes such as changing the menu of a restaurant to QR codes, or services such as home delivery that at the moment is highly sought after which sectors like this have benefited greatly. And this only was possible due to the conditions we are. Adapting is in our nature. And we do not have to go very far to see this reality. In social networks, there have been very viral business news that have to change radically, as is the case of a gym in Mexico City that became attack, Los Tacos Mamados. And this is where we can appreciate a bit how the business that knew how to better adapt to changes and the measure against COVID-19 have succeeded, while those that have not done so cannot survive. Going big, it's well known that the pharmaceutical sector is one of the most money moving in the world. I bet most of you didn't know that this sector earns more money than the sale of weapons or telecommunications. For every dollar invested in making a drug, 1,000 makes 1,000 profit. So I don't need to tell you that this sector is the main sector benefited by the pandemic, without any doubt. Since the publication of the first news about the new strain of coronavirus in December 2019, the pharmaceutical industry collaborates closely and intensely with the global scientific and medical community, seeking therapy solutions to collaborate with health authorities in order to relieve infect people by the pathogen, and thus prevent many millions of human beings from being infected, which is why it has become a race that the laboratory produced the vaccine first. Leaving aside the pharmaceutical companies and companies dedicated to hygiene, the next most benefited are companies dedicated to teleconferencing services, online education, entertainment, and social networks, as well as home deliveries, like I said, and with good reason. These distance companies are what the market asked for, whether it's where the law of supply and demand applies. But what is about? The law of supply and demand is the basic principle on which a market economy is based. This principle reflects the relationship between the demand of of a product and the quantity of supply for the product, taking into account the price at which the product is sold. Nowadays, people are willing to pay more for service on the internet since they are much more time at home and depend more on the internet. In this area, we can see that Amazon shares register a historical rise, and also in Italy and Spain, for example, new installations of Netflix application increased by 57% during lockdown. Netflix announced on April 22 that it had nearly 16 million new customers between January and April. People need entertainment and escapism now more than ever. In Mexico, the situation does not change. In fact, our economy is being one of the most affected in Latin America. Many of us have friends, relatives, or acquaintances who have suffered the consequences, either from a significant decrease in salary or even the reduction of personnel, which is the situation that thousands of people are suffering. But I'm not saying this for saying. Luis Fonserrada, director of the Faculty of Economy at the Anáhuac Maya, University, stressed that during the height of the pandemic, unemployment reached 34 million people, equivalent to 53% of the workforce of the country. By July, he said it dropped to 23 million, a figure that, although is less, still represents 36% of the people with the impossibility of working, and I mentioned it. The recovery of unemployment is extremely slow. Whether due to bad government, straight, or bad luck, we cannot deny that many of us were affected economically, but we saw that a few knew how to had to take over the condition demanded by the pandemic. Many lost, and surely this will be for a long time. Others, they came out winning. Situations like this help us better to prepare for similar situations and not suffer such a significant damage like now. Today, more than ever, we must be united and support each other. Thank you.